Hey there! In this tutorial we're going to see how to make this cut effect of the geometry using an infinite plane. First of all, we need to measure the distance from the point to the plane. Suppose we need to know the distance of these 2 points. This is done using the dot product of the normal of the plane and the position. Assuming this is the geometry, we set the normal of the origin, and for this to work we have to convert the vertices to world space. Because this way the position of the objects and the position of the vertices are relative to the world origin. We suppose that we want the distance from this vertex, and the next position is the position of the plane, which is a different concept than its normal vector. Now we get the distance to the plane of the 2 points, the vertex and the plane. We got the vertex and the plane, and then we say that the distance is equal to the distance of the vertex minus the distance of the plane. And if the distance is less than 0, we discard the geometry. Then we need to get 3 pieces of information. One is the normal of the plane. Next is the position of the plane. And finally the vertex, which we have by default in the spatial shader. So let's get the plane normal and the plane position from an external transform. The transform is a 4x4 matrix that contains 3 columns or base vectors, x, y, and z. And finally has a position vector. We can take any of the 3 basis vectors as the plane normal. And the last vector for the plane position. So here we have the scene, which consists of a terrain, the house, the grass, and a couple of other objects. So let's start from scratch by creating a new shader. I'll call it Godot. First, I declare a uniform variable to get the original color of the object, and assign it to albedo again. It's inside the models folder. Here it is, and there you have it. Now, I'm going to create a new object that will be used to cut the geometry. I'm going to use a cube and put a black color with a standard material. I declare the variable uniform to obtain the transformation matrix of the cube. As I said before, we need to convert the vertices to world space. By default, in the vertex section, the vertices come in local space, so I pass it to the fragment section using a body. We get the normal plane using any basis vector of the matrix. And we get the distance of the plane using the 4th vector of the matrix. And we also get the distance of the vertex. Now, we get the distance by doing the subtraction, and the next step is to discard the geometry. We have to use a script to be able to pass the information to the shader. I'm going to declare it as a tool so that it works in the viewport directly. I declare a variable that stores the cut object by accessing it with this unique name. I access to the material override property and then set the shader parameter cut plane using the transform. I reload the scene and you can see that it works. I can use any basis vector of the matrix and I got different results. Now, we're going to add the border using the smooth strip function and the distance. We're going to move the albedo color to a variable using vec4. And now I make an interpolation. But first, we are going to use a global variable to adjust the border color. Godot sends an error because you have to define it in the project properties. I define the border color. And then what I do is to reload the project so the variable works. Next, we make the interpolation and assign this to albedo. Now it works. Next, we adjust the emission, multiplying by a value and using the border distance as a mask. It works. I have to apply the albedo map again. Now let's load a noise map. This one, mark as seamless, disable FDM. And now I am going to apply the noise to the edge. For this I am going to use the clip space. This is a personal preference. You can use local space, world space, or screen space if you want. Now I add animation using the time constant and apply the noise to the distance. This is going to distort the cut. There you have it. And I think the noise looks very dense, so I can divide it by a larger number. Or I can decrease the size of the noise. Right here. It looks better, I think. And I have to disable phase cooling. I'm going to apply the effect to the grass as well. It is almost the same. The only difference is that this is a particle that receives some variables from the particle emitter. Here is the code. Obviously it doesn't work correctly because you also have to pass the cut transform through a script. So I create it. I declare the mesh instance cut plane and then pass it to the shader. I lost the data of the uniform, so I'm going to adjust them. I use it two colors and a curve to adjust the interpolation. I'm going to choose green color and adjust the curve of the interpolation so it looks better. I can use noise too, but I'm going to skip it this time. And this is the final effect.